This is the Desert Box. So many wonderful and important things happen to the people of God in the desert. We need to know what it's like. The desert is a dangerous place. It's always moving and changing shape. So it's hard to know where you are. There's not much water in the desert, so people can get very, very thirsty. Not much grows in the desert, so there's hardly any food. During the day, the sun is so hot, it scorches your skin. And at night, it is really, really cold. When the wind blows in the desert, the sand stings your skin. So people wear special clothing when they're in the desert to protect them from the sun and the cold and the blowing, stinging sand. Desert is a dangerous place. People don't go into the desert unless they have to. Now, the people of God lived in a part of the desert where it hardly ever rained. The crops couldn't grow, so they didn't have enough grain for their food. They were so hungry. The children cried in their sleep. So the mothers and the fathers decided to take their children and go all the way across the desert to find a place where there was plenty of food and plenty of water. They just had to go, even if it was clear across the desert. Their journey began. It was hard traveling in the desert, but they kept going toward a place called Egypt. In Egypt, they called their king a pharaoh. And finally, they came into Egypt and they found plenty of food and they found work. But the Pharaoh trapped them. They couldn't go home again. They had to do everything the Pharaoh said. They had to get up when the Pharaoh said, and they had to go to sleep when the Pharaoh said. They had to eat what the Pharaoh said. They had to do the work that the Pharaoh said. They had to do everything the Pharaoh said. They were slaves. There was one person named Moses who one day went to the Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." But the Pharaoh said, "No." Moses went back to the Pharaoh many times to tell him, "Let my people go." But the Pharaoh always said, "No." And then many strange things began to happen. But the Pharaoh still said, "No." Then something terrible happened. The oldest boy in each one of the Egyptian families died, even in the family of the Pharaoh. But the oldest boy in the families of the people of God did not die. They put a mark on the doors of their houses, and the angel of death passed right over them. So this time, Moses went back to the Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." And the Pharaoh said, "Yes." So the people hurried to get everything ready. They packed all they could carry and they baked bread for their journey. But they didn't have enough time to put leaven in their bread, which is what makes it get big and soft and fluffy, like the bread we find in the store. This bread was flat. You can still find this bread today. It's called matzah. Every time you taste it, you can still taste this story. Now, matzah is the bread of the Passover feast. Now let's enjoy our matzah all together. Taste the story. You can almost taste the excitement.